You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate it. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as most of the people in your family when they stick you at the kids' table at the Thanksgiving dinner. The Thanksgiving dinner's coming up soon. It's September. Anyway, guys, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss One, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today, we have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his business, his insight, how he can help you find the income you want. How come you can I'm just going to let him tell it as it is in what he does and how he does it. We have Matt Raad on the show. He uses a very unconventional method to create financial freedom in his lifetime, starting with nothing and building a high cash flow portfolio through buying and selling businesses. He and his wife are website investors, which means they use digital assets to generate cash flow and build wealth. They were one of the first in the world to buy, build, and renovate websites, a strategy they now teach beginners to reach 6- and 7-figure incomes. He's going to be sharing his insights into his journey as a successful entrepreneur and investor, starting out as a zoologist from down under there with his wife Liz, buying their first business, expanding into multi-million-dollar mergers and acquisitions, transitioning to tech, the digital world, and how they successfully work together as a team for the last 27 years, which is hard to do when you're married. That might be a podcast in and of itself. Welcome to the show. How are you, Matt?
Very well, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
There you go. We'll have to touch a little bit on that because it's hard for people to be able to work together as a married couple in the same sort of field.
Yep.
I think I saw a Harvard Business Review, and this is like 30, 35 years ago, and a very small percentage of people can make it with that married thing. So but nowadays, most people can't make married work for a month anyway, so welcome to America. Anyway, Matt, give us your .coms, .aus. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
We're at ebusinessinstitute.com.au, and that's our site where we teach beginners how to buy and renovate websites. We have a lot of American clients now, especially after COVID. It's just, we retrain total beginners in buying and selling online businesses because it's the easiest way to get into your own business and a side hustle. So, and then also we have, Chris, a podcast where you can hear the experiences of our clients. We interview all our clients, and it's called digitalinvestors.com.
Mm-hmm. And so it's digitalinvestors.com, and then that's the title of the podcast as well?
Yep, that's it. That's it. Yep.
Digital Investors with Matt and Liz Raad.
Yep,
there you
right.
go. So you can check it out. They can learn everything you're doing in the live format and with the guests that you guys have on. So give us more of an overview in depth of some of the features that you sell, some of the products you sell at E-Business Institute, like courses, different things of that nature.
Yeah, well, we do things very differently. A lot of people come to us wanting to either quit their corporate roles, typically they're highly paid people, and they're burnout. They don't have life balance. They don't see their kids. So what we do is we teach them what we've done, which is creating wealth through online businesses. That's our main thing. I guess because we've created wealth in such a unique way, we're seen as an alternative investment to traditional real estate. That's the big one. So most of our community members, Chris, that idea, what is it? Asset rich, cash flow poor. Most of them have probably, and if you're listening to this, you might be in the same boat. You've probably invested in real estate, and as we all know, you max out at after a while with real estate because of the banks. Mm-hmm. And Liz and I have always been averse to heavy debt, what we call heavy debt, and we've always wanted. For us, our goal was always not just financial freedom, but time freedom. And we found online businesses gave that to us in spades and really high cash flow. So we often get asked to speak at real estate investment seminars and things like that about how the hell have we done this? Like, how do you get such high cash flows, and how are you getting beginners to do it as well? And that's what we teach on our courses and stuff these days.
All right. Yeah. Back in the day with brick and mortar companies, we used to buy and sell brick and mortar companies, and now everything's online. And so this is a whole new game of buying stuff online and doing stuff. So definitely a fun game. Because I mean, the lovely thing about the internet is you don't have to build an office. You don't have to, do all that brick and mortar stuff. Back in the old days, we had to build a whole office and get all the furniture and all the phone lines, sign a 3-year lease, and yada yada yada.
Yep.
Now you can do it much differently.
Employees
so tell us about,
and all sorts of things, and we've been there, done all that, and that's hard yards, and we don't recommend that, particularly if you're a beginner trying to get out of a job. What we teach is a way to do it so that you can do it as a bit of a side hustle, so you don't have to quit your job straight away, and you build it up in the background. Most of our clients are working full, like big hours, and they just, they can do this in the evening, a little bit like doing, I guess, an MBA. Instead of doing an MBA, why wouldn't you learn how to buy online businesses? You can start out really small and you can just learn the ropes. And if you like it, then you go to the next level. We've got clients that do, millions. So it goes all levels.
Awesome. So tell us about your journey in your words, because people like to hear from you. Tell us how you got down this road, how long you've been doing it, and I mean, there's the story of you starting out as a zoologist is very interesting.
Yeah, that's where Liz and I met at uni, and so both. I think what's important for our story and what drove us to do this over the years is both of us come from the country. And from farms. We grew up in rural Australia. And when we met at uni studying science, we said, let's become zoologists so we can work out in the country. We can get out of the city and get back into the country and live a life, where we've got, freedom to be, in the wide open spaces type thing. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. When you're in zoology, you are at the whim of the government and government funding, which I really, really dislike. It's just, and I come from a background where mum and dad had very little money and my family had little money. And ever since I was a kid, I wanted to own my own business. So I just said to Liz, this isn't going to get us where we want. We need to get into business. And luckily, Liz is such an adventure, and she's she's up for any kind of adventure. And she said, all right, let's do that. And we got into business very quickly with the help of friends and family. We bought a small manufacturing business, and how do I say this? We made all the mistakes, Chris. It was almost a total disaster. We nearly went bankrupt multiple times, by the way. But the main thing that happened was, and that influences to this day, and is something we're really passionate about teaching people, is we got the due diligence completely wrong, and we relied on the advice of an accountant to do that because we were total beginners. And he gave us, because accountants, what we've learned is, understandably, it's hard to do a due diligence on a business. Yeah. And that basically we went on a journey then to nail it. And we just love business from day one. I think even though it nearly went bankrupt and all that sort of stuff, we're addicted straight away. Back then we were young and silly. This was 30 years ago. We didn't care. We had a ball. We had nothing to lose. And so we went for it, and we bought and sold lots of businesses. And it was always manufacturing or wholesale import businesses. And then as an entrepreneur, we don't actually recommend that. If you're a beginner and listening to this, don't do what we did in that part of the journey, because it's really hard. Any business with physical inventory where, you're selling widgets and you've got them sitting on a warehouse somewhere, it's high risk, very, very difficult to get ahead because of cash flows. So when we started paying very close attention to the internet and online space, and we figured out back in 2008, one day Liz is really smart, right? And she just goes, what the hell are we doing? Why are we buying bricks and mortar businesses? We're doing it at a big level by then, and we're working for very high net worths and stuff. She's going, why don't we just work from home and buy online businesses? We've got to be able to do that somehow, and let's just do that. And literally it felt like to us, compared to our bricks and mortar journey, it went ballistic within months. It was working for us really, really well. Now, we have a lot of experience buying and selling businesses prior to that. And so we were really good at buying the online businesses. But Chris, for yourself, you'll find this really interesting. We're used to exporting, right? We used to export to America. It's really difficult from Australia. With online businesses, all of them, they were based in America. We were instantly in America that night, earning money while we sleep. That was mind-blowing. No borders, nothing. Money in your bank account. We didn't have to speak to anyone. Didn't have to deal with customs. No more physical inventory. We don't do e-commerce. All we do is advertising and affiliate sites. That's it.
Wow, advertising and affiliate sites.
And
so
we got access to the world's best market. To this day, I don't care what anyone says, America is without doubt the best market. That's where you want to be. I know some of you Americans don't always think that way, but seriously, it is brilliant.
We take that for granted, yeah.
Yeah, you guys do. And America's actually very advanced in terms of the online stuff, and the people are a lot more comfortable there. There's 300 million people. So for us as Australians, it was just mind-blowing. And literally to start making money straight away while we sleep, that was just – and so then we just went on this, I guess, we just replicated what we did with bricks and mortar online.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge marketplace. I mean, that's the most reason, people like English bands want to come here and succeed.
Yeah,
because they. I mean, there's more sales that you can have. It's a lot of people. There's more people in China, but can they afford anything? I'm just kidding.
America's better too, because what you just said, there's more sales opportunities in that you can just get see online. When you have an online business, it's really important. This is really cool. This is a big advantage. You can go for what's called a micro niche, really obscure stuff, and make money. We have a website about pigeon racing, and we make money off that passively every single month for the last decade or so. It's a small, little, tiny site. We make about $1,000 a month, and without even touching it, doing nothing. This is pigeon. I know nothing, even though we're zoologists, I know nothing about pigeons. And it's just because there's this subsection of society that loves pigeons and they want information on it. So that's how you make money.
Now, are you making money off the ads that are on the site, or are you charging something on the site? Or is it community?
We sell an ebook on that site. We sell several ebooks but also off ads as well. So we sell information courses on lots of sites, or ads, or we get what's called affiliate commissions.
There's big money in that pigeon racing.
Well, there's way better niches than that. That's just a small little passive thing. We go into, and this is what we teach our clients to go into the really cool, like travel niche, cars, finance, anything in the passion niches where if someone's passionate about, so we have a client right now, Greg, who's teaches guitar, and he's just put together a series of lessons, and that's a six-figure business.
Wow.
Yep.
There you go. 6-figure business, people.
And you can buy these. You don't have to be an expert in the niche. You can buy, we've got clients that are buying travel blogs at the moment that are making anywhere from $5,000 a month to 10 to 20 grand a month.
Wow.
So they're used to spending, 6 figures on real estate, but now they're looking at these going, hang on, and they're cash flow machines. And also, I don't know in America, but, there's a lot of talk about a potential recession or whatever. What we found, we started this in the middle of a recession, 2008. And websites go actually better during recessions, generally, depending on the niche.
Because everyone's online looking for.
Everyone's online looking, and they're buying small amounts. So little ads can make you a lot of money if you've got lots of traffic.
Yeah, that was the nice thing about COVID. One of the few nice thing about COVID was everyone was online because they were stuck at home.
Yeah,
and so they were trying to do stuff and figure it out. So how much money do I need to get into this? If I'm out there listening and I want to get involved in this, do I need a fortune? How does it work? No.
That's why we love teaching beginners. For anyone that's thinking of getting into business, we've never seen anything like it. It is an absolute no-brainer. To get into a typical good bricks and mortar business, realistically, you're looking at, especially here in Australia, but I think it's the same in America, anywhere from 50 grand into the hundreds of thousands into the millions. Online businesses, you can get started for less than 5 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, you can buy like that little pigeon site that only costs us $7,000. We've got what we teach is when you get good at this. To give you an example, so you can spend anything. There are websites for sale up to millions of dollars, and they're the big institutional buyers love buying those. So what the play is to buy a small, rundown website, ideally under $50,000 or under $5,000, build it up, and then sell it to the bigger buyers because they don't like buying small stuff. So that's where the big opportunity is here. If like people like this idea of doing a big multi-million-dollar exit. Well, that's an easier play with online businesses because you can buy quite small sites. And to give a really good example, we have a lovely young couple in our community. They do this full time. They live on the laptop. They own websites, buying and selling. And they found a little rundown gardening website, an Australian gardening website, for $400. They noticed it hadn't been operated, like the guy had just left it. He hadn't touched it for years. And they just sent him an email. And this is how Liz and I started. We taught Nathan and Alexa how to do this. And they sent this gentleman an email and he said, yeah, you can have it for $400. So they bought that for $400. They know nothing about gardening. At the time, they were living in Thailand on a laptop. They hired 2 writers off a website called Upwork. It's like Fiverr. It's one of the main places who are experts on gardening. They've built that up. So they had to put a bit of money into it to build it up. That site now consistently earns those guys $4,000 a month net profit. It's off a little tiny gardening site. It gets hundreds of thousands of visitors in spring when it's spring. It's seasonal. But, and they just make money off advertising and affiliate offers. Now, that's not bad when you're living in a place like Thailand, and they own 4 or 5 of those sites, all earning around the $4,000 a month. And they're a young couple. They used to do the real estate thing, but now they just put all their money into websites.
Oh, wow.
That's life-changing for what a cool way to earn your money.
Yeah. Especially if you can travel on a laptop and do all that stuff.
Yep.
Now, do I need to know how to code and, do all that back-end work? And
question. It's changed. So when we started, we struggled with that. That was a big thing that actually we didn't do it for a few years because we were so scared of the coding thing. But at the time we had to learn, or Liz did. I can't code at all. But over the years, of course, it's now a lot more click and drag, but there is some technical stuff you do need to use. And basically, I'll use a technical term, but the main sort of theme, what we call themes of the websites we use are called WordPress websites. You can go and Google it. If you can build a website with WordPress, that's probably the key skill. And that, of course, Chris, is what we specialize here at eBusiness Teaching because, yes, there is a little bit of a technical process. It's a bit different to bricks and mortar businesses, and that's what we teach people. And that's the bit as a beginner that you really need to learn how to understand. And then you outsource everything after that. But you don't have to hard code or anything like that. There's no, you don't have to learn full-on coding. It's more click and drag, but you need to know which bits to click and drag if that's the best.
Yeah.
I've
been building WordPress sites for, 10, 15 years, 20 years. Well, the Chris Voss Show is a WordPress site, so 16
years.
He's
a WordPress site, yeah.
Yeah, so 16 years we've been doing them. And they're so great because, it's basically almost drag and drop sort of thing, bring on modules and stuff like that. And, that's crazy, man. I never knew there's so many, sometimes I go to niche websites and I'm like, what's going on over here, eh?
Yeah.
But hey, what do I know?
But Chris, you would be blown away by, especially if you've been online for a few years, like us for more than a decade, at the most. And if you're listening to this, some of the websites that you look at every single day, right in front of your very face, are probably making significant money in a semi-passive way. So we have clients that bought I'm not allowed to say the name of the website. Let's just say it's a pet website. If you saw it, you wouldn't think much about it. It doesn't look particularly great. They bought that. It was making $300,000 a year net. They bought it for $1 million. So that's what's called a 3 times multiple. And again, this is a pretty basic looking website. 300,000 cash. That's net. That's a lot of money.
Wow.
So these guys are used to investing in commercial real estate in America. That's how they've made their money. So they were blown away by that. But it gets better. They went on and doubled the net profit on that within the next 6 months just by tweaking the ads and putting. But this is now that thing now makes 600 grand a year, right? But seriously, if any of us looked at it, even when I looked at it, I was like, what? It's such a simple looking website. And to me, that was one of my most exciting examples that I've seen, because it is, basic sites that you're seeing every single day in really cool passion niches, especially pets and anything where you're learning a new sport or guitar, are probably making the owners a lot of money. And that's this whole world of buying and selling online businesses. There's big broker platforms now that facilitate this. It's a lot of fun. It is very, very addictive. Buying a small site, fixing it up, like those guys, doubling it to 600,000, because then the asset value goes up exponentially. That thing's now worth 2.5 mil, something like that. That's better than real estate. Sorry, any real estate investors, but I'm not a fan of real estate.
It is a different game. It's a trickle.
Very different
depreciation write-off, trickle income. There's a lot of people that keep their day job and they start buying homes. It's been here in America, as you know, it's become a really high bar. So just to buy one home and the cost of it and the outlay of cash is quite extraordinary.
We think it's too risky. And my advice to young people now is, I'm not allowed to give financial advice, but if I was talking to a friend or my kids, why the hell are you buying real estate? Buy online businesses. They're real assets now. They're just as valuable as real estate, and you can get in at a much safer level. You don't have to go to the banks, and you've got so much potential upside. If you get it right, you're going to be sitting on a highly valuable asset anyway. Online, what you want to think about, online web businesses are pretty much online real estate. The domain name is pretty much the address, like the house. And then the website itself is like the house that sits there. And that's the bit that we renovate. And so it's pretty much virtual real estate in this day and age. And you want to own a bit. That's the thing. It's like Monopoly. You want to own, the best houses in the best streets. But we buy the ones that we can fix up and add some new hotels on it.
There you go. That's wild. And the great thing I've always loved about owning a business is you have a lot of control over it. It's very different than owning a relationship. You don't have control over another person. And real estate, once you plunk it down, there it is. Whether it's brick or mortar business, I just saw someone closing their little donut shop or something that they had, and I was like, oh, that's unfortunate, but I was looking at the location, and their location's really awful. And I was like, yep, that's what it is. And what's funny is it's location in business, and there'll probably be somebody that goes back in there and puts up another donut shop. But they look like they're in a really crappy position of the strip mall, and that's really their problem. They probably have a great product, but no one can see it.
It's funny, Chris. Liz and I we're just doing this the other day. We're looking at a similar kind of, it was selling trinkets or whatever in a really crappy location. And Liz and I were saying this to ourselves in the car as we drove past. Think of the risk that person's taken with that donut shop. Like that they've got to be outlaying at least, lease and equipment, probably 50 grand plus, maybe even more sometimes. And Liz and I are just like, oh man, if you guys only knew what we know, like seriously, you could just take a year off work for way less than what they've put into that donut shop and have a crack at this, and buy a couple of small sites for under $5,000, and you're probably going to make more money with way less risk. You don't have to sign any leases. Worst thing that happens is you just walk away from it. Yeah. So it is a very high. Traditional businesses in retail these days is very high risk, in my opinion. There's a lot of complexity to it, whereas online stuff, the main risk with online businesses, if you're listening to this, is knowledge risk. You got to learn some stuff. Don't make the mistakes that we made. You got to learn how to do proper due diligence, and don't rush out there just because you're listening to me saying how unreal these businesses are. Don't just rush out there and buy the first one you see. No, you start small, under $1,000. Start small and learn how to do it properly, and learn how to do website due diligence. It's probably the main skill if you want to do this.
There you go. So you guys have the courses on your website. You've got articles on how to do things. You even have events that you throw. Do you want to plug some of your events?
Yeah, we've got on our website. We offer a free masterclass, and at the end of it, we do talk about our paid courses. But that free masterclass, if you're interested, even vaguely interested in this, at least go and do the free masterclass and check out, because we talk about the strategy. And we show actual websites that we've bought and that our clients buy. And it's a really quick way to learn how all this works, because there's lots of questions that people have, like what sort of site should you buy? Where do you buy them? How do you value them? Don't have time here today to go through that. So just go and check out our free masterclass. That's probably the easiest way.
Nice.
There's lots of links on our various websites for that.
One question people might have is, how do you transfer the site safely? Do you use like an escrow? I know there's online escrow. Things and stuff.
That's a really good question. There's multiple ways. It mainly amounts to escrow, like online, like escrow.com, or through the brokers. They often handle the transfer, which is really good. So it's particularly when you're doing bigger deals, the money sits in an escrow account. It's a lot easier than what it used to be. It's actually not that difficult, really, anyway, because there's two parts to the transfer. It's like the house analogy. There's the house part, actual physical files of the website itself, and then the domain name comes over separately.
Wow.
It's not that difficult, particularly if you're going to a broker.
Yeah. So do your diligence and transfer it over, and off you go.
And off you go.
And then it sounds like you kind of recommend people do what they love or what they're interested in, because, people are more motivated sometimes to do that. Yeah.
All things being, it's funny, when we first started out teaching this, like Liz and I, we're entrepreneurs. It's just, Liz is very blunt about it. She just, show me the money. She doesn't care what the niche is. Don't really care. And we were really blunt about it with all our clients, who say, stop overthinking this. Just buy stuff that makes money. I've got to admit, over the years, we've kind of moderated a little bit because of what you just said. What we've learned through coaching people, particularly when they've got, they're time pressured. Ideally, you should have a site in your portfolio that you are passionate about. So it's in an area that you're interested in. It might even be things like, work related, like project management or, compliance. I know that sounds boring, but those sorts of sites make a fortune online, actually. But if you like cooking and stuff, then you should probably look at having a cooking blog somewhere, although they're really expensive now. They've gone ballistic since COVID. They're very valuable, the good cooking blogs. But yeah, if you like playing golf, then look around. Golf's a great niche, by the way. We've owned a few golf sites over the years. It is a good thing to have a website in a niche, in a hobby or something that you're interested in, because you will, like Chris said, you're probably more likely to work at it part-time in the evenings and keep it, build it out over a few years.
Yeah, you can take and build it out over a few years. You can take and you can take and build it on the weekends. That's a great thing about WordPress, man. I mean, anytime I need to work on my WordPress or tweak it, 24/7, I can be in there mucking about, run A/B testing and stuff. What have we talked about that you guys offer on your site, ebusinessinstitute.com.au?
Well, we also teach the other new strategy that we teach now for helping people get out of their jobs quicker is building websites for local businesses. Now, that's gone ballistic in the last few years. It's a really high demand. So it's kind of a hybrid model with online businesses and bricks and mortar businesses, where you're creating a service where once we get total beginners in under 12 months creating significant incomes and helping. So you build a website for a local plumber, say, or your local electrician. And it's a really good, where this started was, it's just a great way to earn a little bit of money while you're learning all the key skills you need for online businesses, which is a really important skill for the future anyway. And it's just developed into something that's worked really, really well for a lot of our clients. And so we're really excited about that. We're seeing now there's multi-million-dollar agencies. We've got clients that are sitting on 7-figure, so agencies worth millions now after just 2 or 3 years being with us.
Wow.
So it's mind-blowing, the results we're seeing. That's here and in America. America, of course, is huge. It is way bigger, that marketplace, because, again, there's such a big population and there's so many businesses. You think how many new businesses are registered every year. They all need a website. Every single business now needs a website. So the market's pretty much unlimited. We have total beginners nailing this one pretty quickly. The main skill is you need to learn how to build a WordPress site.
There you go. Well, I can do that. All right, guys, I'm quitting the Chris Voss Show podcast, and I'm going to do this. So have fun. Yeah. Bye. We're out. 16 years. It's over.
Well, it's funny, Chris. We know all the top website brokers in the world, right? And they're all in America, of course. But they sell websites all around the world. But they're all saying now too, hey, Matt, you guys are training up people with these digital agencies, like building websites for local businesses. It's just gone mental when we have such a demand off big buyers to buy up those sorts of service businesses, because it's recurring revenues. So so you're not strictly working 9 to 5 on these things. People are doing this part-time. But if you can get recurring revenues because you charge, say, your local plumber every month a little bit of what's called an SEO fee, or to maintain the website, that's recurring revenues. And that's very, very valuable to big buyers. So they're now going around saying to all these brokers, hey, if you've got any of these service business, these agencies, and it's kind of recession proof, because in a recession, all these small businesses that have got money still need to pay to be online, because that's where they get all their leads. So the big buyers are starting to recognize this. And we learned off our mentors many years ago. We've been very lucky to hang around some very successful entrepreneurs. They always said, if you want to get rich, just follow the big money. What are the big guys doing? And that's the new trend that we're seeing out there.
Follow the big money, as it were.
Yep.
So give us your final pitch out. Tell people how they can onboard with you, get to know you, find out more if they have questions, et cetera, et cetera.
Go and do our free masterclass. You'll find it at ebusinessinstitute.com.au. But if you're interested in this stuff, that's a no-brainer to do that masterclass, and just start out small. Play it safe. You can buy a little tiny site under $1,000. It's easier than you think. And learn these digital skills too. It's just a good thing for the future, or get your kids into it. We've got lots of parents that get their kids along to our course, and a lot of them, they skip uni. They don't bother going to uni. They just do this full time now.
I'm going to set up a kid sweatshop where we're going to have them working 24/7.
Well,
get those fingers moving, kids. Get those kids moving. And it's going to be like a one of those Chinese sneaker sweatshops. So it's going to be it's going to be like the North Korea hackers sort of thing, but not hacking. And they're just going to be in there, and you're like, you want food? You better get that income up on that website there, bud.
Well, I'll share one quick story on that. So we've just finished training a cohort, and our youngest member, Jamila, she's 16.
What?
And she's 16 years old, and while she's studying at school, so she's going to school full time, she just sent to us, hey, Matt, in this year, I've earned over $10,000.
What?
This is a school kid. And she said, I've got 3 big corporates who I'm building websites for. This is a school kid in the country, Chris. She lives in rural Australia. She's building a website for a company called Origin Energy, which is one of our big gas companies, And she's building a site for them, and she's building a site for a government organization as well. And so this is a 16-year-old who she reckons next year, the only thing that's stopping her from making proper money is she's got to do another 2 years of high school. So
wow,
mind-blowing. Her parents are very happy. And she said, I'm not going to go.
Yeah, because she's going to pay for her own college. That's why her parents.
She's going to pay for. Well, she's not even going to bother going to college because she can see that this is going to make her a lot of money. So, but her parents said she's got to finish high school. So,
that's kind of important. Yeah,
she's got another 2 years of school. That's the only thing that's holding her back.
She can balance that out. Some schools let you out early if you complete a certain amount of.
Yeah, that's true. But it's cool. She's here. She is. She's hiring staff on Upwork while she's at school, in a lunch break to go on a laptop. And she's building websites. She's built websites for local plumbers, electricians, and stuff. But she's also built some for these big corporates. That's the bit that impresses me. I don't know how.
For her.
Far out.
Good for
That is
her.
so cool.
Yeah,
But there you go.
we need
Kids
more
can
people
do it.
doing it. Yeah, and they're so much more in tune with the, it still takes me sometimes. I think I pretty much know my WordPress now, but every now and then something happens or something gets kicked around. You're just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It's usually when it's an update or plugins. Although it's gotten pretty good. It used to be that you really had to back everything up before you did a plugin because you would crash your site and then you have to call it GoDaddy.
Yeah.
Hey, can you reset that thing? And yeah, it's always fun. All right, so give us the .com one more time as we go out.
All right. So there's two, digitalinvestors.com or ebusinessinstitute.com.au. I know that's a mouthful. Or you can just search for my name, Matt Raad.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, bud.
Thanks very much for having me on, Chris. That was unreal.
There you go. We try to do that on the Chris Voss Show. Do you want Unreal? That's what we do here. I don't know. That failed as a slogan, didn't it? Matt, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, and Chris Voss, TikTok, all those crazy places on the internet. Be sure to be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.